you tell your family, guys, I'm no longer taking trips to Jamaica, I'm leaving, what is their reaction?
My mom was not shocked. She knew that where my heart was.
Sure.
She knew, but she was obviously not happy about it because I'm not there anymore. She actually, her first trip to Jamaica was in 2018, so 2 years after I moved. Before it, she was like, why are you there? Come back home. When she came, she was like, okay, I get it. I get why you're here. So that was, yeah.
Was she worried that you were coming to Kingston?
Yes and no. I mean, obviously everyone hears,
Sure.
things about Kingston, but nowhere is any different.
But you didn't just come to Kingston. When you tell me that I must come and visit you in Riverton, I'm like,
so a lot of things actually are similar to like way of life in Dubai. How families are, Sunday dinners, So yes, I wasn't used to it in Canada.
Sure.
In Canada, you're just like on the go.
Yes.
Here there is on the go, but there's a lot more importance placed on like, take it easy.
Welcome to A Life Elsewhere. We go beyond the glossy highlights to hear real stories from extraordinary people who live abroad. I am April Jackson, and I'm so excited to speak with someone who has literally changed the lives of young people living in some of Jamaica's most dangerous inner city communities. Farnoosh is the executive director of Lead Outreach Initiative. She was born in Iran, raised in Dubai, moved to Kingston from Toronto, but she's not just talking about change, she is living it where it really matters. In this episode, we talk about how serving others can actually serve ourselves by giving us purpose and perspective. Farnoosh, tell me how you came to Jamaica.
Well, I went back to school for early childhood education, and I met my professor who was running volunteer trips down to Jamaica. I always wanted to volunteer. I always wanted to do so many things when I was younger, but my parents were always scared and, this will happen to you, that'll happen to you, don't go away. So when I met my professor, she, part of the course was to do placements.
Okay.
And so we came to Jamaica for 2 weeks.
And you're in college at this
Yes.
point? Where are you?
In Toronto.
In Toronto, okay, cool.
And she became my mentor, just with that one class and the one trip. And I came down here for 2 weeks, and we ran after-school programs, and we did things with the kids at Mustard Seed Communities and Riverton, the basic school in Riverton, and that was it. I fell in love with the kids. We just took that one trip.
So you take that one trip for 2 weeks, you go back to Canada.
And then finish the course, finish the program, graduate, and I just kept coming back with her. So her trips were twice a year.
Okay.
I started leading the trips with her, so we'd bring volunteers down.
Right.
Do the same kind of programs twice a year for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then she got sick and she passed away in 2012. So I wanted to continue her vision and the mission, and I kept coming back. So
oh wow!
I brought volunteers with me, and then kept coming regardless of how many we had. We started with like groups of 30, and then with groups of, effectively it was like groups of 10. And we were busy the whole 2 weeks. 2 weeks turned to 3 weeks, and then twice a year for me turned to 3-4 times a year, and I'm like, I need to just move here.
So you were coming even irrespective of the groups?
Right.
You would just make sure that you're always here?
Yeah.
And when you say you were working with the kids, what are you doing?
We built different curriculums for the children living with special needs.
Right.
We built a library at one of the homes. In Riverton, we did a lot of like programs with the kids after school. So crafts and reading, a lot of them actually, not even just the kids, some of the older persons in the community would come in and want to read and write. So we did kind of basic reading and writing. And then and then that kind of grew to so many other things of like realizing what the need is.
Okay.
So outside of like, hey, this is what I want to do.
Sure.
I don't like that. It's more just like, what is the need?
Okay.
So then, just asking and listening and hearing what persons in the communities needed, it grew to so many programs like running youth leadership camps, programs. So empowering the youth to be agents of change in their own communities, for them to know that they can make a difference. It doesn't just mean that somebody has to come in and do it for you or with you. So that program started in 2010. And it's been running since then till now.
And when you say homes, you mean children's homes, as in
Children's
they live in these
They live
facilities?
in, yes.
Okay.
So Mustard Seed Communities is one of
Right.
the homes that I work with, but they are near and dear to my heart. And I can't the kids became my own children.
Sure.
I couldn't have children.
What age
are the children?
Yeah.
They range from 6 months all the way up to
as young as 6
adults,
months?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and children living with HIV are housed there as well as teen moms.
Okay.
There's a home for teen moms, Mary's Child. There's also a home for adults living with disabilities. There's a whole agriculture program within Mustard Seed. It's a income generating, self-sustaining program, but that also empowers the residents, to the ones that are able,
Sure.
to feel like they have a sense of purpose. They're doing something every day. They're not just sitting around and staring at a wall.
Sure.
There's so many programs, like activities and things for them. So,
And when you started coming, and then I get the impression that the frequency of your visits became more and more, was there a key moment that you were like, actually, I should just move rather than keep commuting?
yeah. So it was in 2016, and I had just had a hysterectomy. And I knew that at that moment, a lot of things changed in my life.
Sure.
Obviously, I had a great support system at home, family, which I'm so grateful for that. But I felt something was taken from me.
Yeah.
I couldn't have my own children. And I knew that all of these years before that, I was around kids that really gave me that sense of purpose, that sense of that feeling of motherhood, that feeling of, and then that at that moment, I was like, why am I here?
Okay.
Why shouldn't I be with the kids that make me feel
Yeah.
like I have something,
Right.
a sense of purpose in life? So that was the moment. 2016, after the surgery, I healed, and then I came here. I moved.
And your family, are they living in Canada?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And you also lived in Dubai?
I did. I grew up in Dubai. So I was born in Iran. And then I was born in the war. So moved to Dubai. I think I was just under 2. And grew up there with family, cousins, everybody. Life then was great. And moved to Toronto, I think about 2000, maybe 2000. And then I was there for school. Finished high school there, university, went back to school for early childhood, and yeah.
Do you think, having had moved to different countries before, that made moving to Jamaica easier?
I think generally I can adapt easily.
Okay.
Change is not hard for me, especially when I feel, in the past it wasn't really a choice, the move, the moves. This being a choice, but also in the moment, it was kind of difficult to leave family. Sure. Knowing that I may see them, every few months, or if they come down once or twice a year. But yeah, it was hard at first. But because the kids were here, I just came in and I was just like, I dove right in. Yeah.
And when you tell your family, guys, I'm no longer taking trips to Jamaica, I'm leaving, what is their reaction?
My mom was not shocked. She knew, that where my heart was. Sure. And she always was a big believer in following my heart. So she knew, but she was obviously not happy about it because I'm not there anymore. She actually, her first trip to Jamaica was in 2018, so 2 years after I moved. Yep. And when she came, before it, she was like, why are you there? Come back home. When she came, she was like, okay, I get it. I get why you're here. So that was,
Was she worried that you were coming to Kingston?
Yes and no. Obviously everyone hears,
sure,
things about Kingston, but nowhere is any different.
But you didn't just come to Kingston. When you tell me that I must come and visit you in Riverton, I'm like...
So when I started coming, I actually used to stay in Vineyard Town, Deanery Road.
As in
Mountain View, yes. So everyone's like, what?
Yeah,
that's where you are? That's where you live? Where you go every day? I'm like, Riverton. What? So even like people in Canada, my parents' friends or anybody that, especially Jamaicans abroad, they're like, I would not step put there. I wouldn't go there.
Yeah, because when you invited me, when you said, oh yeah, we're going to go to Riverton.
Yeah.
I laughed on the inside because I was like, yo, she's real. Like she's real. She's not telling me, oh yeah, let's go Kingston Spring. Or my girl said we're going to Riverton.
No. Yes.
Did you take your mom with you?
Oh, I sure did. Yeah. Their first trip, I had a baby wellness clinic.
Okay.
And they came and they helped me like put bags together and like hand out things. And my niece was only 2 at the time. She was a baby herself. Yeah. And I took them to the homes. And honestly, anybody that in my family knows, family and friends, when they come to visit me, it's, I'll take a few days.
Sure.
And I'll go with them. But I'm a big believer in, I moving here was never about the beaches and the, oh yes, Jamaica is beautiful. And I explore it whenever I can. Like I'll take a drive and go to the mountains. I'll go to Blue Mountain. I'll go, all the way past, I'll drive to Portland. But when family or friends come, for me, it's like, they need to see what I see, or I want them to see what I see. Sure. And not everybody has the same reaction, obviously. And I'm okay with that, but
you're giving them the opportunity to see what drew you here, essentially.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's funny because volunteering, I think there's almost an industry for like volunteer tourism.
Voluntourism.
Oh, voluntourism, excuse me.
Terrible.
And it feels a little bit cringe to me.
Me too.
I've been to school abroad, and you hear of people and they're really proud about the fact that they helped build a water well or something. But it's almost as if it's a them thing. Even the way they tell you about it, it's never really about the people that they're serving. And there's also, I find it quite disingenuous when people talk about serving people as though it's completely like philanthropic. And I always say to people that when you do any sort of community service, it is just about as much helping people, but also you help yourself. So like, from my perspective, I used to work with Glenhawk before it burned down. Okay. So this is many, many years ago. And that was a remand center. So the girls were usually there in between finding out what was going to happen at court, if they were going to go to a juvenile facility, or were they going to be returned to their community. And for a lot of these girls, a stepdad may have raped them and the mother has sent them there. And you can imagine like the layers. And I was inspired by a movie, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go every Sunday. And we'd start sometimes with reading, or we would do some writing, like just something that was academically inclined.
Right.
But then my thing after that would be like an hour and a half. And then my rule after that was whoever wanted to talk, you just line up and you would talk, right? Because unfortunately, a lot of the house mothers,
they don't have that relationship.
But also they are toxic, like a lot of the time. And again, I'm not blaming them. They're just a product of their own environment.
Exactly.
But like girls would confide maybe in an auntie, and then all of a sudden her business is out into the home, and that would cause arguments. And I felt that just speaking would kind of help. And I'd be there for like 4.5, 5 hours. And again, people would say to me, oh, what you're doing is so great. I'd be like, well, hold on. My mother left me. And I only started speaking about that with these girls because that was the way we kind of related. And 100%, I would not have been able to deal with my own trauma
if it wasn't
for them. And I tell people all the time, like, yes, I was there to help. And that may have been how it started. But it would be a lie to not let you also know that there was a huge part of them healing my own. And I wondered do you think, had you not had your experience of your hysterectomy, would you have felt as compelled to be here and what the kids did?
Yeah, I think what I related, so when I first started coming, I had struggled with endometriosis for years before it, and surgery after surgery each year. And the first year I actually started volunteering, I think it was probably 1.5 years after my first surgery.
Okay.
And then it just kept happening. So while I was coming down, I was still having surgeries.
Oh, Jesus.
So every time I would have surgery, I would heal. I'm like, okay, I'm going. Right. And it was a motivation for me. And if it wasn't, I feel like I would have gone straight down into depression.
Yeah.
I kept this. It's really the only thing that pulled me out. Right. The kids seeing. I don't want to call it struggles because we're all struggling with so many things. But seeing them not have a choice.
Sure.
Not have a voice sometimes, choice and a voice, really made me, like, regardless of what pain I was in, and still am every day, they motivate me to, like, push that aside.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think about it. For me, it's like, that is just not like, they're going through, in my mind, so much worse, and they have no choice to come out of it. They're confined to these four walls. Or they don't have a voice to say, I want to do this with my life. I want to do better. I want to, you know, get an education. Not saying that they don't have that voice. It's they feel like they can't. They feel limited. So that's also one of I've made my purpose to make sure that the kids that have to find out who is interested in what their skills are, what they can do, what they want to do, and so send them to different schools to get different, you know, certifications. Go to school. We have one of the kids from the community, he is now a lawyer. One is an accountant. She moved to Canada, migrated, you know, or like, you know, they're in all different trades and skills. And for me, that was really the purpose of all of it for me.
And it's funny, I would have sometimes, like, you'd have your good girls, right? There's people that are more responsive to you than other people. And I remember one of them, her aunt lived in London, and so she got stay. So she was now leaving this facility and she was going to London, and I was super excited for her, super excited. And my heart kind of dropped because she arrives in London a few months later, she's pregnant, and it was, and I'm not saying that you mustn't have babies, I'm just saying you're 15 years old, and I had this whole vision of, no, you're gonna have an opportunity to come out of your environment, and you know, the world is now your oyster. And in that moment, at first I took it personally. I know it wasn't me, but I took it personally because we had this relationship, and I felt that I was doing more than I was actually doing, right? And this happening was a reality check that there are still limitations. And as much as you want for people, life happens, right? Life happens in the way that it does. And I had to kind of appreciate, and also appreciate that I leave them, right? Like, I come to you one day out of the week, and then I leave. And that was quite hard for me to accept. I was also 19. I'd hope that now in my 30s, it'd be easier for me to accept. But I just wondered, in terms of your experiences and working with children on a daily basis, you're gonna see a broad spectrum of how it turns out, how it doesn't turn out, and how do you kind of resolve that within yourself?
You know, so everything you just said about, you know, that one girl that happened to. So I also work with Grandville childcare facility, which is a home for girls similar to what you're saying at Glenhawk, similar. And they constantly change. So that's also, that was also a struggle for me to, you know, to go one week and then the next week, you know, they're gone, or, you know, they've moved back home, or they're now in remand, or this. So, but just seeing that, I mean, so one conversation I had with the girls was, one of them was pregnant, and she was waiting to, you know, she had, I think, 7 months pregnant. And the conversation we had was, I said, do you want to be a mother? Like, how do you feel about becoming a mother? And for her, she said that she thought if her sense of self-worth was tied to the love that she got from the person that she thought she was going to have a child with. And she didn't even know. She was 15 years old. And it was for a lot of girls in that facility, or in facilities similar to it, for them, they just, they don't understand the gravity of, you know, your sense of self-worth shouldn't be tied to somebody telling you they love you, or they're, you know, because they haven't had that before. So I don't blame them either. No. You know, like, there's nothing you can say that it's like, and I think that's when you talk about toxicity within the homes, sometimes the blame is put on the children. When they didn't ask for this. That's what I always say. They did not ask for this. And even children in general, like, at what point do we stop blaming and pointing fingers at children and look at how we may have caused it? How our behavior could affect them. How, you know, if they're acting out, why are they acting out? You know, a lot of times, like, they don't act out with me. why is it that they're acting out with you?
100%.
So-
I had a girl, I came one Sunday and her face had welts on it. And I was like, what the hell has happened to you? And it was a husband that slapped her. And so I took her home,
Oh boy.
which I'm not allowed to do. And
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
I was like, you're coming to the house. And I get home and my dad's like,
What did you just do?
do we need to have a chat? I said, yeah, in a minute, we'll talk. The guy who actually ran the home is on the phone. He's like, I said, let me tell you, it's either, he's like, you can't just take, they're wards of the state. You can't just, I said, her face had welts on it, right? So if you're going to call the police on anyone, you better call it on the woman who did it, right? And my dad is just like, I think you're really invested. And at the time, again, I didn't realize why I was so invested. But like looking back, it was because it gave me like complete purpose, right? Like, and I felt that. And to the point where I just started taking people's children home. I did return her the next day.
Yeah.
But I also felt that she needed to know, and that was another thing for me, is that she needed to know that I will do that, right? Because they know that it's also against the rules.
Of course.
And she needed to know that I was willing to do whatever it takes to provide that safe space, like for her. Unfortunately, she ended up at a juvenile facility, and then I'm driving like 3 hours to go where it's just madness. But I think the other thing I guess I worry is age, right? So when I got into these girls' lives, it's like sort of 13 to 16. And I'm really cognizant of the fact that that is way past that kind of key early childhood phase. And what do you think in terms of how we can help young ladies, young men? Because at that point, you know, you can say at 13 you're still a child, but their life experiences has forced them to grow up, right?
They've
We're
already
not
molded
dealing,
into.
we're not dealing with your average 13-year-old who has been given the grace of being a child. And I wonder if sometimes we write them off because we're gone so far, but at the same time, how do you really impact at that late stage?
I actually find, so a lot of the youth I work with in the communities are at that age.
Sure.
And I find that that's also a critical age, as much as early childhood is, because at that age, they're still kind of on the fence of like, do I matter? Do I not matter?
Right.
What's my purpose? Do I have one? Where do I go in life? So I think that's more critical.
Okay.
In a sense of like, where do they go in life? When they're like early childhood to that stage, it's like emotional regulation, self-worth, confidence, all of that stuff builds. Unfortunately, when they've reached that 13, 16 age, a lot of those things and what they've gone through, the abuse, all of that would have shaped them to not have certain of those characteristics. But I think from what I've noticed, I think it's easy to change.
Okay.
It's easy to, when I say easy, I don't mean easy. I mean, it's possible.
Sure.
To change that outlook of yourself. And I think to be able to help them, have conversations, hold space for them to feel what they feel, make them feel like they matter, give them a sense of responsibility, help them feel empowered, I mean, there's just so much that we're not doing, unfortunately. And it's like, I always feel like I'm like barking in the background and like nobody's hearing me.
Sure.
But I'm also, I fault myself in a sense because I'm not very outspoken.
Okay.
I like behind the scenes. I like being behind the scenes. Even when I started volunteering, I was always behind the scenes. I just wanted to, I don't, and like when you talk about volunteerism and tourism and all of that, I never wanted to be in the limelight of it, to show, oh, this is what I'm doing, that's what I'm doing. For me, it's like, if I can make an impact, if there is change, if I've made a difference in anyone's life, that's all I care about.
Okay.
And so, especially with the girls, and now with the girls at the girls' home, hopefully maybe we'll be able to visit them too.
Yeah.
It's in Falmouth, so maybe on your way up.
Yes.
We can arrange for that. But I think a lot of things that I can relate to with those girls is, as much as I had a beautiful childhood upbringing, there was still a lot that I can relate to how they are feeling. And so there was a lot of, and I think that's what, I think if we allow, as adults, if we allow ourselves to be vulnerable with the girls, and for them to feel like we're not better than them.
Yes.
And I think that's the
yeah.
the problem.
I mean, I'm grown and I don't like that energy. So I can only imagine. And I think that's another thing when people are perhaps giving, you know, maybe it's Christmas time and they're giving things, there can be an energy of I'm like white knight savior and I'm coming and
white savior complex for me is just very
or it's like when people donate clothes and the clothes are dege.
Oh my God,
I'm
please,
just like, what
thank
are you doing?
Oh my God, I have suitcases in my house right now in storage because I have to go through them. I'm not just gonna, when you give me something and it has holes in it and it has stains out, would you wear it?
This is what I don't understand. Like, I genuinely do not understand. If there's one thing that you've grown out of it and like it might be designer clothes and the quality is still perfect, 100%. But you are giving things that you would not want to wear based on the quality. And then again, going back to self-esteem and like making people feel good about themselves. If you're a child and you know when something is shit.
Exactly.
And you know that is what someone is saying that you should wear. I genuinely don't understand.
I think, and that's where it comes from, is that I am above everybody, and if they should be so happy and so lucky to receive anything from me. My whole full of holes. No, but I think I honestly feel like as a society, not just even here.
No, it's a global thing.
Global thing.
When Grenfell fell in England, that they had a big tower and it fell. And there was a story, a guy was on the radio and he said that a child was calling for Superman, and I started crying. I was in my car and I started crying because I could just imagine a child asking for Superman to save him out of a building. And so I drove straight there. They had lots of like volunteer spots to sort through donations. And I'm just like, why are people giving this? Like, I don't understand, like literally. It's a global thing. It's bizarre.
Or they think like, oh, because they're impoverished and because they live where they live,
something is better than nothing. But like, no,
they should be so grateful that they're even getting that. Like, really, you would, if something happens, I mean, everybody, it can happen to anybody. You could be a billionaire and lose everything, and you will end up exactly where they are, in that same position. Then what are you going to do? Or expect from society?
But it's just a loss of humanity, I think, in general, and that's just one example. I wondered if, when you started working with these communities, did you ever get a resistance from them that you're foreign, you live a nice life, and how are you going to come and talk to me?
Well, not from the kids so much. I still get that sense of resistance from I mean,
you're 15 years in now, right? 20
years in.
20 years in.
Yeah. So at the beginning, I mean, when I say I still do, it's still the color of my skin.
Okay.
Oh, she has everything.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I'm not one to walk around and talk about my struggles or, you know, what I feel or what I don't feel on a daily basis. And I think that's where, that's where the disconnect is.
Okay.
And I think that culturally, and I think globally, not even just here, we just jump to conclusions. You know, we judge before. We're very judgmental. Like us,
but people like to lie about it. You know, I tell you that I'm the most open-minded, judgmental person you will ever meet. Because our brains are like that, right? They make shortcuts for a reason. And someone once said to me, it's not your first thought that matters, it's your second. And I thought that was so honest. Because to deny, like when people say, I don't see color, I'm like, are you fucking blind?
Everybody does.
Like, why would we say that?
Everybody judges too, but if you catch yourself in that moment, that's that second thought.
The self-awareness to understand. But you're saying it came more from adults than kids?
Yes. Yeah, the adults being, and it made it difficult because sometimes that was then passed on to the kids.
Okay.
Why is she saying this to you? Why is, oh, look at her, she's this, she's that. And then I would notice a change in some of the kids because of that, the energy. And I'm very big on energy. So I can walk into a room and feel like I'm walking right back out of here. Or I can walk, so I can, and I think that's what's really guided me over the years. If I was oblivious to it, I wouldn't be able to do it.
And was there a difference? Because there's one thing to come here for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then it's another thing to actually live here.
Yeah.
Was there anything that surprised you when you made the big move to live?
Surprised me. Well, I mean, I rented a a house.
Okay.
Because I wanted to have a space where when volunteers come, they stay with me.
Okay.
So I rented a house. I, went downtown, found mattresses, beds, all that stuff. So that for me, that was, it was, I can't say that it was challenging. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
But at the same time, it was something that I'd never experienced before.
Sure. In what way?
In a sense of like, I don't want to call myself white, a white girl walking downtown,
Right.
Asking somebody to make a mattress for her and a bed,
Sure.
or like multiple beds and do this and that. And they're like, why don't you just go to Ashley Furniture? I'm like, because I don't want to go there. Like,
Right.
I'm not, the two things, like one, anything I do, even when we build homes in the communities, like I'm all for supporting locally.
Sure.
And my parents were never rich, were never made of money. Everything was, we worked hard for everything. I worked 4 jobs to help support my parents when we moved to Canada. Sure. My dad was bankrupt at some point. Like, it was just like, nobody sees those struggles.
Right.
They're just
see you looking cute,
nice.
babe.
So for me, that was I'm like, I value money. I value what it can do. I think, if I have this and I'm spending it on one bed, I could be helping and buying beds for 10 others
Sure.
in the communities or whatnot. So that was kind of the...
Did you always have this level of consciousness?
Always.
Yeah. Where do you think it came from?
My mom.
Okay.
Growing up, she was always... just watching her be who she was selfless. She gave everything she had to shirt off her back. And but everything that we experienced growing up was, you can't have this or that, because maybe they could have afforded it at that point, but it was, I appreciate them not making us feel like we can have everything we want.
Okay.
And I really appreciate that, because I still remember, like, I was 6 or 7 years old, went into like a toy store and I wanted this like motorized car to get into. I mean, I love driving from when I was I wanted to drive from when I was that young, but I wanted to, and everybody's like, you're not going for the Barbies and the dolls, you're going for the cars. So I wanted to get in one of those, and they're like, nope, you can't. And then we would walk in, walk back out. We would window shop everywhere we went. And so those values that she instilled in me, I don't think I could ever, I can't live my life any other way. Yeah.
What do you think is the most common misconception about living in Jamaica?
So for me, it was always like, oh, you're moving to Jamaica. You're so lucky. You'll get to go to the beach.
Okay.
Every day. You're by the beach. You'll get to relax. You'll get to this. I'm like, you persons that come to Jamaica for vacation, for years, I didn't go near a resort.
Okay.
For that reason, because I'm like, I'm not here for that purpose.
Sure.
The first time I think I went was when my parents came and we went away for the weekend.
Sure.
And I was still reluctant. I'm like, I don't want to give in to this. But so places like Portland or like, Negril, like the small little boutique hotels, and I love that over the big resorts. But the misconception of, your white savior complex, one, you're coming here to save society, Jamaican society. No, that's not it at all. Like, what I take away from the kids and the families and everybody I work with is way more than anything that I ever feel like I could have or have done for them. But
when you speak, I almost get like a sense of protection. Do you feel that way? Do you feel
me being protective over them?
Yeah,
100%. Yeah. So when I started to, in the summer, I would take some of the kids to Devon House.
Okay.
And so the main Devon House built. And years ago, it wasn't the same as like you would. So let me be careful in saying this. So persons coming from different communities, inner city communities, when they go to places like Devon House or, Uptown, they're not welcome the same way.
Okay.
So the first time I took them, by upper-class Jamaicans and tourists and anybody, they just, I guess it's, if they don't dress a certain way, they're seen, they're judged. And but the first time I walked in, I noticed it. And when I went to order ice cream for the kids, I stopped myself and I turned around. I gave each of them the money. And like walked outside, each of them like stuck it in their pockets. I'm like, go get what you want.
Sure.
And that changed. So it turned from them standing there like this with their head down to walking in and feeling like I'm coming in with my own money to buy what I want. And then I was just outside.
Right.
So that became a thing. So wherever we go, that was my, like, I want them to feel like, A, they're part of society anywhere they go.
Sure.
B, they can do it on their own.
Yep.
But I'm also like, as much as I'm giving, I say no a lot, as much as it hurts me to say no. If like somebody asks me for something, like I don't want it to always be that because I didn't grow up that way.
Sure.
You can have everything you want.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it's funny that you say that about environments. I was at a park in the UK in like a really posh area, and we were the only black people, me and my kids, in the park. There was a lot of French-speaking people, and it was funny because I felt that the energy was a little bit odd when my girls went to play, but them being so young, they didn't care, right? And to me, that's all that matters. But it occurred to me in that point that for people who may not come from those areas, it's so important that you take up space in those areas. Even if as a parent, as an adult, you could feel uncomfortable because you're seeing what's happening. But for your child, the blessing is when they're super young, they don't see it. And as they grow up, I feel that a part of the reason why, for example, I can go into any space is growing up here, right? Growing up in Jamaica, in uptown Jamaica, where you have access to everybody, kind of gave me like a blind thing of I can be with anyone, anywhere in the world.
Exactly.
And if you keep your child, regardless of your background, if you keep them from certain spaces, and it could start out as protection, right? You don't want anyone to shun them. You don't want anyone to treat them in a particular way. But it's like those initial teething pains of stepping out into those uncomfortable spaces for you, I think is really underestimated what that does for your child when they're older.
Sure.
Because there's nowhere that I feel like I can't go.
Yeah.
Even if somebody else wants to make me feel, I'm like,
I don't care.
I can be here.
Yeah.
And I think it comes from that. And it's really interesting that you were able to have that awareness and kind of change even the way you went into those spaces. I tell people all the time, Jamaica is super classist.
Oh, for
super
sure.
classist.
Yeah.
I guess in my mind, to be honest, I'd rather the classism over the racism because there's a little bit more movement, right? Like as you spoke to about clothing, or for us it might be language. You know, the fact that some people will speak patois, but then they know how to switch into proper English depending on their environment.
Exactly.
And yet a child who perhaps hasn't been trained to code switch in that way is at a disadvantage because immediately people will say, or they'll ask where you live. And then that's kind of the thing. Yeah. And I'm not saying that classism right. I'm just saying it provides for a little bit more mobility
for sure
than racism. Coming from the UK, I can definitely like speak to that.
For sure.
But how do we as a society get better? Or do we just have to appreciate that human beings seem to always want a way to create divisions? And do we just accept that it could be a worse kind of division? Like I was thinking when I met Miss Israel, they all do army. They all have to do service in the army, right? Whoever you are. And this lady was so little and fine and pretty. I said, what are you doing? You mean you trained with the army? And I thought that perhaps that could be a thing because then if everybody, regardless of class, had to be in the army, obviously you get the discipline, and for like younger inner city kids, they might benefit from that more, but it also means that you're rubbing shoulder to shoulder with uptown people, then perhaps that could be a way to help kind of bring the classes together.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of countries that do that, that everybody has to have that training. I don't know if Jamaica's there yet in that sense, but I think it's important. I see the difference in some of the kids that do go into training, into the force, and I think it is a good avenue to get them out of their environment, to not be idle, to not get into certain things that they would if they were just at home. But yeah, I think one, acceptance is always it's hard, but accepting that there's always going to be people that good and evil, right? And I think for me, it's like surrounding myself more with persons that want to see change, that want the good in the world, that, and then just kind of in my mind is like building that army of persons that will do more good.
Sure.
It's hard to kind of just assume that.
Yeah. We just have to accept people are full of shit sometimes.
Exactly.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, in a nutshell. You said it perfectly. Yeah.
And stepping away from the work that you do and just living, right, your day to day, did you find it challenging, like getting into Jamaican culture, meeting new people?
So because I started, then I came as a volunteer as the years, and built friendships and relationships with people at the homes. So one of my best friends, I work with her.
Okay.
I met her when she was the administrator of one of the homes, Mustard Seed. And no, I mean, if it wasn't for her and I call them my Mustard Seed family, like if it wasn't for them, like my move would have been a lot harder.
Okay.
They're kind of like my second family, my backbone.
Sure.
So yeah, that part was, if it wasn't for them, it would have been hard. It would have been harder.
Is there anything culturally that stuck out to you in terms of just way of life, coming from a Canadian perspective that was very different here in Jamaica?
So a lot of things actually are similar to like way of life in Dubai.
Okay.
In Iran for me.
Okay.
How families are, Sunday dinners, so yes, I wasn't used to it in Canada.
Sure.
Canada, you're just like on the go.
Yes.
Here there is on the go, but there's a lot more importance placed on like, take it easy, like have a moment for yourself. Sundays, you go to church, you're home, you're cooking dinner, you're whatnot.
Sure.
So I can't sit still. So I'm not one to speak. I work on the weekends still.
Sure. But you like the idea that
it's happening. It's happening around me. Great. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
And then is there anything food-wise that you really missed when you moved?
A lot of things like, for me, yes, it's still available in supermarkets. You can get berries and you can get, all the things, but I'm not going to spend that kind of money on berries because I just think it's wrong. There's certain little things that I was used to.
Sure.
Yeah, like certain fruits and, always having access to limes and lemons. And here it's all seasonal.
Are really small too.
They're small, but it's seasonal.
Yeah.
So or like avocado, pear,
Yes.
like for me, it's like I can't have it all year long. What? So that was the first like shock for me.
And I had the opposite. When I see it available all the time, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I grew up with it being available all the
Yeah.
time. Because in Dubai, everything was brought from everywhere.
Yes.
And then in Canada, everything was brought from everywhere. And then I'm like, what? But I actually love the seasonal aspect of it, of like, oh, it's a mango season. Oh, it's lime season. Oh, because you're getting something real.
100%.
Yeah.
I have some quick fire questions for you. Tasty or juicy patty?
Oh, I'm not a patty person.
I really don't like
Tasty.
patty.
I do. It just gives me heartburn. So I will eat it. I used to. I think maybe I ate it too. I ate too much.
Too many.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about chicken foot soup. My helper used to always make chicken foot soup and I loved it. And then one day I looked at the soup and I was like, it just looks like baby hands bobbing up in the bowl.
My experience with chicken foot soup was probably my first trip. I was in Riverton, and they, as a thing at the end of our 2 weeks, they did lunch and stuff for us as a, to thank everybody and had a little party. And they're like, oh, here's a cup of soup. I'm like, oh, thank you. So I'm drinking it, not even with a spoon. So I'm drinking it, and then I see the chicken foot come up. I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't know. I've never had chicken foot. So I was like, I just pushed it to the side and I still drank it because I didn't want to be rude.
Right.
But I'm like, I can't with the feet. I just can't. Just seeing it.
No, I'm with you. No, I just ask for the water. No.
Yeah. I'll drink the soup.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you prefer Julie or East Indian? You said mangoes.
East Indian.
Really? Why?
I like Julie. I don't know. To be honest, I can't choose. No, I like both. Julie and East Indian.
My dad loves East Indian, but I don't like the hair.
Julie has hair too.
No, it doesn't.
It still does. They both still do. Maybe not as much. Yeah, but
Curry goat or oxtail?
Oxtail.
Oh. Red stripe or rum?
Rum.
Cane juice or coconut water?
Coconut water.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, when you started to go to Riverton, was there any fear? Because the average person coming from Canada would be scared.
I was not scared.
Why?
I think because we went as a group.
Okay.
To The minute actually my first trip, I'd never been exposed to patois. So I was like, what's happening? I was like, I need to understand. So the kids were talking and I'm like, I'm trying. So that first trip we were setting up a library, we were cleaning out a space.
Sure.
And putting up shelves and bringing things out and painting and whatnot. And the kids were helping me and coming in with us. And that forced me to understand it.
Sure.
You know, someone's talking about someone's picnic and I'm like, who's a what? A what? So, I felt safe right away. I mean, we drove through the community and then we drove into the school, like the fenced area.
Sure.
And they closed the fence, not in my mind of like, you know, anything, but I think bad things can happen to you anywhere. You just don't put yourself in situations that, you know, like I wouldn't go out there at night.
Sure.
Really anywhere really that I know that could be unsafe.
Sure.
Yeah.
If your life was a postcard, what would it look like?
It would be me and probably 100 kids at the beach.
Very good.
The beach, the kids. Yeah, that's all I need. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.